Meeting of the Planning Commission to order. First item is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions? If not, is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept as presented.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Next is the minutes from August 12th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Is there any discussion, anything else? All those in favor? All right, next item is rezoning 24-40 James Martin Comer, applicant owner requesting to rezone a 0.88 acre portion of a 218 acre parcel from RUD to AGC. The subject parcel is located at 5370 Hickory Grove Road, Hickory Grove. The property is referenced as tax map number 103-00000001, Council District 3. Mr. Atkins. Good
All
evening.
right. Good evening, everybody. This request is to rezone a 0.88 acre parcel, a portion of a 218 acre parcel from RUD to AGC. The purpose here is to be able to remove the parcel split zone status and to allow the subdivision to create a new 5 acre tract. Parcel is located off of Hickory Grove Road, just southeast of the town of Hickory Grove in the western part of the county. This area here is mostly rural, undeveloped, agricultural area. There are a few smaller, not smaller, 1 acre lots that are located along Hickory Grove Road as you move close to the town of Hickory Grove. Zooming into the property here, it's undeveloped. There is a 5 acre tract that was created some time ago, the center of the parcel. It's a single family home there, but the majority of the property is trees, pasture land. There is a very large right of way to come through here. The request is to be able to subdivide the property, and as you can see here, is to create this 5 acre tract for the new parcel. And the area to be rezoned is this very small piece right here that is actually RUD. It's 0.88 acres. We did some research on that to figure out, is that true? And yes, that is true. And that was actually an abandoned right-of-way for the rail line was through there, but it was zoned RUD. So they have to get that property rezoned to be able to create that subdivision. The land use plan for the area here is agricultural. And as we know, that's typically farmlands and timberlands, very low-density residential development as well. And so we're recommending approval for this request. It aligns with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. The vast majority of the parcel already is AGC. Uses are similar between AGC and RUD, and that'll also remove this parcel split zone status. Any questions for staff?
Diane, so why that little piece was originally, what am I thinking, RUD, was because there was a right-of-way there, or, I was just curious.
There's been some recombinations of this property here and the parcels to the west, so I don't know when it was abandoned. Maybe it was abandoned many years ago, and that's why they did a place zoning on that one, but they didn't place it on other parts, so it's very inconsistent through there. Couldn't figure out what the actual thing is, but from everything I can tell, that's how the original zoning maps show is RUD. Therefore, they have to be able to rezone that.
It looks like the one to the northwest is the same situation. Right?
Correct, yeah. And it's that same right-of-way that travels further on, like where you can see the white streak through there. That's the right-of-way of the railroad. That one didn't have it, so it's very inconsistent through there. But from best I can tell, that's the original zoning map.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Diane, I had a question. There's a comment in here about this new 25-foot access easement for the driveway. Is that something that's recorded with the plat, or how is that enforced?
So yes, it's recorded with the plat. So when
Okay.
they submit their plat to be able to do that, this plat here, they will also be signing or recording a document that has that easement.
Okay.
That includes a maintenance agreement and all the requirements for the easement. That has to be recorded before we'll approve the plat.
Because the county has no responsibility.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Diane? All right, if not, is there a motion on?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
All right, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? No? Rezoning 24-41, James and Teddy Robin Warner, applicant Holly Lee Warner, owner, requesting to rezone a 1.57 acre parcel from RSF 40 to RSF 30. The subject parcel is located at 2937 Forest Hill Circle. The property is referenced as tax map number 63500000048, Council District 6, Mr. Huckabee.
All right, this is a request to rezone a 1.57 acre parcel from RSF 40 to RSF 30. And the purpose here is to be able to subdivide the property to create one new lot and construct one new home. Property is located off of India Hook Road, just north of Celanese Road, in between India Hook or Twin Lakes and Mount Gallant. All the gray there area is the city of Rock Hill. This area here has been developed as single-family homes on larger lots, nothing large, but nothing too small. As you travel further along India Hook, it does get more rural in nature with larger undeveloped properties. As you travel south, you're going to move to the area north towards Celanese. Zooming into the property itself, it's a 1.57 acre parcel with one home on there. The intention is to be able to subdivide the property to be able to construct one additional home. Their area is, and the subdivision will be similar to those in the neighborhood. Zooming into the proposed subdivision here, that area in red is the approximate location of the new lot lines where they'll be able to divide and have one new home. The zoning map for the area, this whole area is RSF 40. There is some RMX 20s just to the south. Comprehensive plan for the area here is neighborhood residential. And that, as we would know, is places with a mixture of housing types and residential lot sizes located near neighborhood serving uses. Typically have a depicted street network, sidewalks, and bike paths. We're recommending approval. While this request doesn't align completely with the comprehensive plan, because typically neighborhood residential is going to be the RMX districts, this parcel is one of the largest of the neighborhood, and the majority of the lots are between 0.5 and 0.8 acres. And so when they do that subdivision, the resulting two lots will be very similar to the ones in the neighborhood. We're recommending approval for that one. Any questions for staff?
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Okay. Next item is rezoning 24-42, Eric Hillman, applicant, Baywoods Drive LLC owner, requesting to rezone two parcels that total 5.24 acres from RSF 30 to GC. The subject parcels are located at 1650 Herlong Court, Rock Hill. The properties are referenced as tax map numbers 593, 00, 00008, and 009, District 4, Mr. Roddy.
All right, this request is to rezone a 5.24 acre parcel from RSF 30 to GC. And the purpose here is to redevelop the residential parcel as an event venue. Property is located in just to south of Herlong Avenue between Heckle and Constitution. The gray areas, once again, are the city of Rock Hill. Zooming into showing the development of the area along Herlong is mostly because of the hospital. You have medical uses, a lot of offices there, some commercial. But then you have the subject property, and then behind that begins the residential area. Zooming into the property here, there is an existing single-family home. It is vacant. There's also a large pond that was drained a number of years ago. And as you can see here, all that gray area around that is the city of Rock Hill. This is a proposed site plan, just a sketch plan provided by the applicant, where they would utilize the existing building here for a event venue, reactivate the pond, and then build another shelter over here and have seating here as well. Zoning map for the area here, as you can see, this is RSF 30, but once again, we're surrounded here by the city of Rock Hill. In the south part of Rock Hill, those districts were residential. Then along Herlong, where they had the neighborhood commercial and some GC, but the county has some GC in the area, and then OI as well. The comprehensive future land use map here is municipal infill. And I actually included also the city of Rock Hill's future land use map here. The subject property is a property in red here, and this aligns with their neighborhood residential, and a little bit of the employment center on this part here, where they have this larger swath of employment. So for us, municipal infill, what we typically do is intended to be a seamless transition between the city and the county. And so we consult the city's comprehensive plan, what their goals are for the area here. And as I mentioned, they recommend neighborhood residential. And that's where according to their comprehensive plan, the purpose of that district is to protect residential and feel and property values, while also connecting to the neighborhoods and the commercial areas. So based upon that, we're recommending denial. This request does not align with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. And we also reached out to the city of Rock Hill and have a statement from them that said that, and they affirmed that the proposed commercial development is not consistent with the surrounding land uses in the city's plan. And we also, staff feel that because it's surrounded by the city of Rock Hill, it'd be better served to be developed within the Rock Hill and their requirements. Any questions for staff?
I got a question on that third bullet. So if it was annexed, would Rock Hill consider that then? Or from what, your statement in the third bullet talks, it's not consistent with the surrounding land uses, but if it were annexed, would that make a difference or what?
I can't speak for the city of Rock Hill and what they would determine, but based upon their future land use map, I would assume it would stay residential. Because that's what their map recommends.
I've got a couple questions. So, event venues is what I understand this is intended to be,
That would be
right?
the use, yes.
Okay. Remind everybody the difference between an event venue and a large capacity event.
It's the number of people that can be in that building. I believe it's 150, makes it a large capacity versus a regular event venue.
And has the applicant distinguished between the two of those? Said that they plan
Not
to keep
specifically
it-
at this point,
Okay.
because they're allowed use in both districts,
Okay,
or both sides are allowed in that GC district. Based upon the size of the existing building, if they were to just utilize that, then it may not be, but it may be where it's, the capacity of the whole property might get higher. So they haven't determined which way they would go yet.
okay. And the next question I had is, it looks like the event venues can fall into multiple different, like rural, commercial, mixed use, and also the GC, right? That they're all conditional in those different
Mhm.
types.
Mhm.
So would using a different zoning have made that more palatable versus it being general commercial because of what other things could be there once it's zoned general commercial?
The reason why we selected to go with the GC is because an event venue for AGC and RUD, which would be the alternatives to utilize besides GC, require a 10-acre minimum lot size, otherwise you have to get a special exception, and in some cases you require a special exception for that. So that's why we went more towards the GC, recommended using that district as opposed to be the AGC and RUD because of the lot size. That's one part of it.
Okay.
The other thing too is kind of going on that same thing. For the AGC and the RUD, if it doesn't become an event center, is this a place where you want to have AGC and RUD? It's as an urban core, and so those districts aren't even appropriate either in that location. So in terms of the urbanness, a GC for event center is more appropriate than AGC and RUD. That was
okay.
kind of our thought process.
All right, so I follow all of that. What I'm still confused about is I think I'm looking at this right, and I was more in the business sections of the use code.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this thing called rural commercial, RC, and then mixed use,
Right.
MU, that could be for the event venues that are under 150, right? And I'm assuming they don't have as broad a scope of different things you can do there compared to general commercial.
Right, so the RC is similar to a GC, it's a little bit less intense, and it's meant to be more of the rural areas, so once again, it wouldn't be appropriate in an urban environment. Based upon the statements of the RC district, it's looking to be where you'd have it outside of the urban services area, which where you'd find the RC district.
Okay,
So now the mixed-use district, a mixed-use district requires a combination of uses, and that uses have to be a combination of residential and commercial. There's also a minimum lot size, I believe it's, I want to say it's 20 acres, but maybe less. So this is not where you'd use mixed use. So
Okay.
what that is saying is if you did have a mixed-use district that had the full components of mixed use, you could do an event center there.
okay,
Can't do a mixed use here.
okay. And what I'm struggling with a little bit here is, I know that area, I used to live right in that general vicinity, and that is kind of a mixed-use area because it's right at a transition where you have the hospital and several businesses and things related to the medical field that you walk out of the backyard of one of those and you're right into a residential area. So I don't know if you've got satellite of that versus just the,
Yeah.
right. So when you look at this, we have the hospital, that's the large mass up top there, okay? And then when you come across the street, those are medical office buildings.
Mhm.
But then just right behind all that is a huge residential. So in my mind, I don't see that the use is that out of whack, but I'm having a little trouble with the general commercial designation that could open it up to a whole bunch of other things.
Mhm.
And so I think it might fit, even though it doesn't, you know, Rock Hill's saying, okay, well, we want that to be neighborhood. In my mind, that might be a very nice thing to have in the neighborhood, is a place that people could have events like that. But I have some heartburn trying to say, well, it's general commercial and you could put something else there because it's now been zoned general commercial and wouldn't necessarily fit. So that's why I was asking the questions, to try and figure out, would there be a different zoning that might be more palatable to allow this to go here? Because right now with what I'm seeing, I can't approve general commercial, that doesn't make sense to me, but some other zoning might make more sense for this type of item in that area.
Sure, and we just walk through those districts and say, do you still have that same concern, or do you see where one of these districts might work, based upon what we were just talking about?
Based on you giving me that feedback, Diane,
Mhm.
it looks like there's about 15 footnotes. I didn't read through all of this to understand how this affects that,
Yeah.
touches on this, and then you have to come back around. So that,
Right,
I would not, you know, if it's just me, make it AGC and let them do it, right? But that's not how the code works. So I'm trying to figure out
right.
what would make the most sense. And like I said, as it stands, I would have to vote to deny this because I don't think we want to make that general commercial that close to all that residential, even though all of that around there is Rock Hill, right? But, you know, an event center kind of makes sense in that space, things that are going on, and, you know, I'm not sure if we could find a zoning that might be more appropriate to guide them to that would be more palatable to everyone.
Right, and you think about too, event venues, and you can see from the site plan, a lot of this is gonna be outdoors. So you're gonna have your noise and everything will be outdoors. And so it'll be in a pretty setting, but that might be an issue for the neighbors around you because of the noise that you're gonna have outside.
Yeah, and the thing I thought about there is, I think the city's gotten 11 o'clock.
Well, it's the county, so, you know, if it's in the county, then it would be their requirements, even if it's,
Which is, it's still,
it's
there's
still, we do
there's
have
still noise
limitations.
ordinance.
And that's
that
where when
goes
you
into
see
effect, right?
the conditions, there are a list of conditions that are required, that a lot of that relates to any kind of outdoors and amplified music and all that. There are limits for that as well.
Okay.
And going back, Diane, answering his question, the other zonings, potential RC and all that, have a little higher minimum square footage or acreage, right?
Not the RC. So like I said, the RC is very similar to GC. And if you go down the list of uses within GC and RC, they're very, very similar. But the intention for the RC is rural commercial. Therefore, it's meant to be out in the unincorporated, but the urban, unurbanized, outside the USB line. So that's where you would see RC. It's a new
So-
district, but it's meant more for the rural community as opposed to this.
Yeah.
Because there are some reliefs by that as well. I think there might be some parking reliefs because in RC, it's meant to be more of the rural part.
Yeah.
And so that wouldn't be appropriate in a location in an urban environment.
Yeah, if this exact geography was outside the city limits, then RC might be appropriate there. If everything that we were looking at around there, but it was all outside the city limits and in the county
Yeah,
complete,
right.
RC might be more appropriate.
It might be more appropriate.
But making it RC now would be putting a more rural zoning on a more urban setting.
Correct. That's not the intention of that district.
Okay.
So how many, in the current designation, RSF 30, how many houses could go on this piece of property? Like, could it be a small subdivision there?
It really depends. As you can tell, there's a very large pond in the middle. I suppose they could refill that pond and compact that and stabilize that and do something with it. It is 5 acres, RSF 30, if they were to build a road there with a, so you might be with a 40,000 square foot lot, maybe you get 4 or 5 homes. If they were to fill the pond, if they were to leave the pond as it is, you might be able to build a second home on this piece of property and have 2 houses there. You know, you can do some reconfiguration to the lot lines and do something with that and put a couple of homes on there.
It was probably in here, but is that currently served by well or
Well and septic currently.
well and septic
Mhm.
current? Okay, and, do you know if that well and septic's gonna support that number of people that would be in that if it was a,
The applicant did provide me with a letter from DHEC, or DS now, that they would approve a septic permit for an event venue. And so that has been approved, you know, submitted to,
interesting?
with
Okay,
us, with the package.
okey doke. Well, all right, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right, if there's nothing else.
Hold on.
Matt, I had one.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Just-
John.
I'm
I
sorry,
apologize.
I was late. Under G, on page 44, it says a proposed change of use may require a TIA. How do we determine whether that's necessary or not?
So that will happen if it's approved, they come to submit the civil construction plans. The
Okay.
first thing they'll do is submit is a form that designates how many trips they'll generate. And based upon trips and the hours, then we'll determine whether TIA is required or not. I suspect probably not, but I don't really know, because it's not within peak. Typically, these event venues are not going to be happening in the morning or the evening peaks.
Right.
So probably not.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything? If not, is there a motion? I'll make a motion then to recommend denial to county council on this. It's all the reasons, it's already stated here. It does not fit within the comprehensive plan or the future land use map. It would not be an appropriate location, in my opinion, with residential homes that close to an event venue. I'm not against event venues, I think they need their space, especially if they're gonna be outdoor. So, and that street while it does serve some medical and office on there, it is primarily a residential street. So I would worry about overflow of parking and other issues regarding safety and how first responders can get out there. So that's my take on it.
I would second that and just add, I would be concerned about noise and light pollution so close to residential. I love the idea, I love the plan, but I would just like to see it in a different place.
And I also agree with a lot of the things that y'all have said. Just it being there, but it would be so nice to have that green space amongst all that density. But at the same time, you have to think about the people that already live there and the noise and the
True.
things that would come through that.
Anything else? So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of the denial? It's unanimous. Next item is rezoning 24-44, CF Smith Property Group applicant Grady and Tony McMahon, Ronnie Griffin, owners, requesting to rezone 2 parcels that total 4.70 acres from UD to GC. The subject parcels are located at 3133 and 3139 Highway 21. The properties are referenced as tax map numbers 721000014 and 065, Council District 7, Mrs. Cloninger.
Request for rezone 2 parcels that total 4.70 acres from UD to GC. And the purpose here is to redevelop the subject area as a commercial district to allow general retail uses. Property is located on Highway 21, just east of Highway 77, north of Regent Park area. Highway 21 services the area here with mostly commercial uses. There is some distribution uses as well, as close to I-77. On the east side of 21 is typically where you'll find your residential areas. Zooming into the property here, there's 2 parcels. One of them has a single-family home, I believe it's vacant. The other one is a mixture of uses. I think there's some residential, and there's some commercial, there's some office, and so that will all be removed for the redevelopment of this side. Below that is a strip center, and then across the road is a grocery anchored strip center, and north of that is other commercial uses there. This is a proposed site plan of what could happen to the property. As you see, this will access at the signal at Regent Parkway. It might also access to the property below it. This is shown here as uses would include a fast food restaurant, an oil change, retail uses, and some daycares. So this is to give you an idea how the property could be developed if it was rezoned. Zoning for the area here, this is still as a UD property, and there's still quite a bit of UD around here, but over time, we've gotten more and more GC. GC was rezoned relatively recent to the north of that, and across Highway 21 is also some GC. Comprehensive plan for the area here is the I-77 corridor, and that is located with easy interstate access, employers for targeted businesses. It also integrates retail, restaurants, and services and/or residences in a mixed-use setting. We're recommending approval. This does not completely align with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. Typically, you'd want to see more of an ID or an LI in this area here, but it is compatible with the development pattern for the area. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of commercial already over here. There's GC adjacent to it, and this will also remove one more UD legacy property. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, Diane, I got a couple. Has there been, and it'll be the same questions for the next one, but has there been a TIA completed not only for this area, but for Regent Parkway coming in to this? Is there, what's the latest on that?
So the TIA will be completed during the civil construction plans. We don't do it during the rezoning process. So when if this gets approved, their next step is civil construction plans, and with that is a requirement to do a TIA. And based upon the proposed uses for here, they'll be doing one. But they just don't do it now. They wait till it's rezoned.
Sure. With that being said, are they gonna have, because this is gonna be very difficult to turn left here, are they gonna get a light, or do you know?
It's at the light at Regent
That's the-
Parkway.
yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, right now, that's a T intersection.
Oh, no, that'll be a fully signalized four-way
Yeah, that'll
intersection.
be, yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
extend that light.
That would probably be a recommendation from the TIA is to retime the.
Absolutely, yeah,
So,
yeah. No, this will be,
Um,
they'll reconfigure this.
I always ask the question.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
and, I mean, I think from DOT's perspective, it hits a lot of check marks with them, so, one curb cut. You can't,
And right
And-
now, this
and they're
is a
connecting to,
an incredibly just long curb cut right through here, so
yeah,
it'll,
and
it'll
they're
clean up
connecting
all
to
that.
looks like it's showing a connection to the south there.
Yeah,
so-
we're working with the applicant for the connection to the south. This one, it would be, this one does have a light further down, so at where this
Yeah.
development is here, I can kind of come back, there is a light right there. But still, it'd be nice to be able to have that cross connection. So
Mhm.
there wasn't anything when it was done a long
Right.
time ago to require that. So we are working with the applicant and the property owner to see if they can get together and get that connection to go all the way. I think it'll benefit the current
You
development.
talk about the property to the south?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Margarita's place here.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have that ability to, yeah, because I frequent this area all week, so, yeah. Okay,
What-
thanks.
What's on the corner next to it, if I might?
DMV.
The DM, yeah, the
Yeah,
DMV,
that's in that
DMV's in
strip mall.
there.
Yeah,
It's a
DMV and
DMV and a
Margaritas.
couple
Okay.
other,
A couple little
The
offices and
strip
stuff.
mall,
got it.
yeah.
DMV with one of the shortest wait times I've ever seen.
It is. I gotta
The
go
DMV.
there.
Not now that you've said that.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's gonna go there.
Everybody's heading that way now, yeah. The secret's out.
Are there any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? For me, it hits all check marks,
Mhm.
redevelopment, UD elimination, cleaning up the intersection.
That, and I like what's being planned for this.
Yeah, it's
You
a,
know, I mean, it's a variety of things,
it's
so.
with a variety, it's thought out, so it really does hit a lot of, like I said, it hits a lot of check marks for me,
Yeah.
so.
And that section of 21 is currently being redeveloped through Penny's, right? So that'll make it even easier.
Yeah, I think with Penny's, the whole character, the stretch here is gonna change.
Yeah.
Really will change.
We've been hoping for that, Kate, for how many years now?
All right, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. All right, next item is rezoning 24-45 Fort Mill Storage Partners, applicant owner, requesting to rezone a 4.49 acre parcel from UD to GC. The subject parcel is located at 3358 Terry's Road, Fort Mill. The property is referenced as tax map number 721000001, Council District 7, Mrs. Cloninger.
All right, this is a request to rezone one parcel that's 4.49 acres from UD to LI, and it's to redevelop the parcel for boat and RV storage. And we're gonna just travel a little bit up Highway 21 to this one here. It's gonna be just closer to Highway 51. Same discussion about this property here. This is the commercial corridor or the area of Fort Mill, a lot of distribution as well. Zooming into the property here, the property to the north has actually been completed, and that is a tractor trailer,
Tandem.
boat, and, not boat, tractor trailer service and sales business. The difference here, this one does have access onto Terry Road. I believe they're gonna be using that for their access point. This is a site plan of what they could do there. According to the applicant, that this is not your typical boat and RV storage, that these are actually gonna be individual garages to store your boats and RVs. So a little bit, according to the applicant, higher end in terms of not just an open field of parking. It will actually have storage places for the utilities. Zoning for the area here, this is still, majority of it is UD. It is adjacent to LI. That property was rezoned a few years ago to LI. Comprehensive plan for the area here is I-77 corridor employment. We just talked about before, easy access to the interstate, integrates retail and restaurant uses. We are recommending approval. This one aligns with the comprehensive plan. There are other properties zoned LI, and this will remove one more legacy UD property. Any questions for staff?
Diane,
Mhm.
of course, I live right down the road. You know, we've got this potential storage. We've got storage right next to it. we've got a planned storage just south of this, so that's 3, plus there's an existing storage. Like Lake Wiley, do we have anything that, I mean, there's so many storage places along here, and they're all on the same side of the road, actually, or potential for the other one also. I just, you know, is there anything in the code that, you know, would kind of, you know, say, hey, we need to consider this and do something different here, or what?
No, there's not, and there was no plan to do anything like that. As you know, for the Lake Wiley, as you highlighted, that was taken out. So there was not in Lake Wiley, so why would it be here? And Lake Wiley was different. It was kind of being pushed from a small area plan that highlighted that, so that's a little bit different why they had that there, but has since been removed. But there is no plans here to be able to limit where they can go. We are looking at, council has asked us to look at a text amendment for self-storage facilities, but not for boat and RV. That's a whole different thing too. So now you're talking about self-storage, this is boat and RV. So they're two separate uses, and so there are two different requirements for them.
Right.
So it's a little bit different than that, but there are no plans for that. And I will say for boat and RV, we get a lot of folks wanting that or needing that use. And it's driven a lot of times by the fact that there are many HOA properties that don't allow you to store your boat and RVs on your property, and so there's a need for that. And that's why we actually created this separate district. Previously, boat and RVs were an accessory to self-storage, and you can only use half of that property for boat and RVs. And because of the demand for this, we actually added boat and RV as a separate use to be able to meet the need of the community.
So to be a little clear, this is boat and RV, this is not any self-storage
Correct,
mixed
yeah,
in
it is
with
boat and RV.
It is boat
And-
and RV
But-
exclusive.
Lake Wiley was just for mini self-storage.
But could they change?
Sure,
That's what concerns me.
yeah, but anybody, I mean,
Right.
Anything that
Yeah.
comes through that we're,
any
they
other
say is
LI
gonna
or
be one thing,
GC.
could
Right,
be
could
Yeah.
be something
something
Correct.
else.
The one you
That-
just
So
approved,
this
they
is
can
no-
That
change.
concerns me.
Well, the uniqueness is that it is being proposed as enclosed storage, because most of the RV and boat storage places that exist, the majority of them are outside,
Yes,
right, with covered, boat covers, et cetera. If this is actually going to be covered storage, that would be unique and nicer. Thank you. Yeah.
and the property you just had rezoning to GC, just south of here, would switch to storage. So that, you know, it could go either way, just saying, you just, no different there than it is here.
Diane, the intersection of Terry's and 21, it shows what looks like a median right there in the road now. I'm not gonna hold you to it, but do you know what the Penny's improvements call for in this area? Is it still supposed to have some type of median through there?
I don't know for certain. I would imagine, I would not be surprised if there is a median there. I would imagine they'd want to have that there. They've already been identified as to where those curb cuts will be. So there is a plan that will show that median. I don't have it. I didn't look at
Okay.
that.
So I'm just, my concern here is that we have a business which is gonna be, you know, kind of a right in, right out,
Yes.
Yeah.
on 21. And someone always thinks they're
They're gonna-
smarter than,
Yeah.
so,
I know where you're going.
Is there a possibility that they could use Retail Drive? Could there be an exit to the back so that they could come to that light at Flint Hill? Because that is a lighted intersection.
I don't know that there's enough room to, I mean, there's not room for a frontage road or anything like that, or going behind them. I don't think they can get out that way. And then going north, the topography, it's just a huge dip into
Yeah,
that.
I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
that backside, but.
Yeah.
They put in a bunch of fill in that.
Yeah, they
For
did.
that trucking.
And I don't imagine that Ross is gonna want them to give access to come out and utilize them. That would be nice if they can get out to that. But that's, I think, employee, there might even be a gate back there.
I don't, well,
There's a lot of room.
I don't think there's a gate, but, right, I mean, I know that there used to be a deputy that would sit at that intersection during shift change. And I don't know if they're hired, like, to help.
Sure, yeah, like a school crossing guard.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know if they're hired by Ross or what, but I mean, it would make logistics, it seems, a little easier if, because Matt, I had the same sort of in my head, I'm thinking, well, you've got, trailers, how are they gonna make, and if they take a right, I mean, they're either gonna go ahead and take a left on Flint Hill and cut
That's
through
good.
the QT,
You see and go back around.
and that QT is super busy.
Hmm.
Or they're gonna have to come all the way down.
They could probably just go to Gold Hill, and then if they wanna go north on 77.
Old
Gold
Gold.
they
Hill
can-
would be easy, but if they for some reason wanted to go,
They wanna go left, but then they're gonna have to go down right and come around eventually and come back away. I don't know.
Now,
I-
The other thing, if we could see the proposed plan too, that'll show you some of that. Because there's, if you notice how this flows, they're gonna have to make that right in there, and I don't know what I can't really see the distance from the road to where that entrance is.
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge, and
And-
this is a sketch plan that hasn't been reviewed.
That's right, and you can see very clearly, they have you coming in and going to the left to be able to go around and find your slot and to be able to back in it the way they have the things angled. So part of what I wanted to ask about this, it was the other two sections of property underneath here, I guess, are not owned by this individual.
No.
Okay.
Diane, what if, you look at where 51 comes in,
Mhm.
so it'd be the same situation which we just talked about. If they had an entrance there, then they would have a lighted intersection.
Well, they-
That's going away.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say
this
that's
is all
going away
being
'cause 51 is
reconfigured,
getting
51's
moved.
going away. They're gonna be
Oh, that's
coming
right. that's
across,
right.
I think. I wanna
That's
say
right,
it's coming
they
through
take out
here
one of the
somewhere.
fireworks places.
So yeah, that's all going away, so
Yeah,
that,
that's
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
Thank you.
So
it's coming here.
Thanks for
that
reminding me.
road would stay, though, because there's other properties down on there, or is it gonna tie back into 51?
Which road will stay, you're
It'll
saying?
probably be,
So is the intersection going, is that,
I think it's gonna be cul-de-sac.
it's gonna be cul-de-sac there?
Yeah.
yeah, so you go to
Kinda like,
Bojangles if you want to.
Yeah,
Kinda like at 49 at 5 Points?
yes,
That one street comes in?
Yeah, yeah.
and cul-de-sac, okay.
yeah.
So that would cul-de-sac basically at 51, and all those properties would be going back
They go up,
to the
Yep.
north?
yes.
Okay.
Diane,
Mhm.
if were to stay in UD, could they utilize this property for what they're wanting if they didn't build any structures? Could they park things there?
There is a requirement for UD, and that is, if your floor area ratio, which is your ratio of your building to your property, is more than 0.25, so your building size versus property, that ratio is more than 2.25, you have to go up. However, like you're saying though, if they weren't building any buildings, they might be okay. The question, let me just check the use table if they actually can do boat and RV storage in UD. No.
Okay.
Not an allowed use. So they have to get it rezoned. Their options to get it rezoned are GC, LI, and RI. Once again, RI is for the rural area, so LI is the most appropriate boat and RV storage.
Thank you.
can I make a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any other questions for Diane at this moment? Yeah, if not, can we have is there a motion?
So I would vote to approve with the condition that they must speak with Ross and see if there can be something worked out about access on Flint Hill.
What if they can't?
Then I hope that they would give it their best shot,
That would be the,
because that's the closest
that would
link.
be the first choice of access unless Ross provides a denial letter.
Yes.
Okay. So
Because
the
I
motion,
mean, I agree, I think it's a needed service, but I am very leery of the right-only, especially with the trailers. And let's face it, that is a super busy area, and the speed is excessive sometimes. So those are definitely things to be considered, but if they could come out at the light, I think it would help everyone, honestly.
I can second that.
okay. Is there any other discussion?
To be clear, the motion is for a recommendation that they speak to them, and if they get a denial letter, then they can still be approved and move forward.
That is, yes, that's
Okay.
my motion.
They would have to contact Ross first.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically hoping that they would, practice in good faith and all that good stuff.
All right. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of the recommendation, say aye. Anyone opposed? Did you vote in favor?
I was in favor.
Oh, you were in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
All right. So it's 5-1. All right, next item is rezoning 24-46. Thomas Williams, applicant owner, requesting to rezone a 2.5 acre portion of a 5 acre parcel from AGC to RUD. The subject parcel is located at 550 North Burris Road in Sharon. The property is referenced as tax map number 23100000005, Council District 3. Mr. Atkins.
This request here is to rezone a 2.5, a portion of a 5 acre parcel from RUD to AGC. And the purpose here is to be able to subdivide the property and then recombine the remaining 2.5 with the adjacent property owner. Property is located off of North Burris Road, which is just north of McConnell's on the western part of the county, McConnell's Highway, I should say. This area here of the county is still very rural, very large lots. There are a couple of smaller subdivisions with large lots adjacent to the property as well. Zooming into the property, there is one existing single-family home. And in case you're wondering about what's this little jut out here, when the person bought the property here, found out the well was over here. So he and the property owner worked together and was able to put the well on his property. That explains the little jut out there. But the rest of the property is mostly treed, and topography, it slopes back about halfway back the property. Zoning for the area here, there's a mixture of zoning districts in this area. Large area here is AGC, but there's also RUD, there is RSF 30 as well as RSF 40. Even with those districts, most of these lot sizes here are 5 acres or greater. To kind of be clear what the purpose of it, the request here is to rezone the property in the front part, RUD, and then recombine this one to this property here. The person that owns this property has a house kind of like right here, and they'd like to be able to have a little bit more space between the property lines, and so they kind of worked out a deal, possibly swap some land around. Future land use map for the area here is agricultural for the entire area. As you know, that's for farmlands and timberlands and very low-density residential development. We are recommending approval. It does not align with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. However, there are other parcels in the area that are not zoned AGC. Like I mentioned, there's RUD, there's RSF 30 and 40. It's not being used for farming, and there are other properties in the area that are less than 5 acres. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I got one or two, Diane. You might have mentioned it, I wasn't hearing it, but what is the owner planning on doing? Is there a building, or is that the reason why they want to rezone this part up here, or?
So they want to rezone the property in the front because it'll be less than 5 acres. So the main impetus for this whole thing is to be able to sell this land to this person here. And so that causes two problems. One, well, the main thing, in fact, is it's AGC, there has to be 5 acres. And so to do that, to be able to subdivide that property, he has to make this front part, the remaining part, RUD, and then add that to that.
So it'll go to AGC.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It'll stay as AGC.
It stays AGC and just gets incorporated into the larger lot.
Oh,
Because
I
what he
gotcha.
could have rezoned the entire property to RUD, but the final intention is to be able to recombine those two pieces of property, they need to be AGC. So that's why I added that drawing there.
It doesn't create any additional lots.
No.
No new lots are created, no new homes will be built based upon that. It's just to be able to allow these folks to be able to do a bit of a land swapping.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion? I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
There was a condition on that.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Correct. I would make amend my motion to include the staff recommendation. The property must be subdivided so that no more than one zoning district is applied to a parcel, as stated in the packet.
Will you set that second? Would
Yeah,
that
I'll
change?
second that.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. All right, rezoning 24-47, Brian McSwain, applicant owner, requesting to rezone a 0.42 acre portion of a 31.5 acre parcel from RSF 40 to RUD. The subject parcel is located at 1500 George Dunn Road, Rock Hill. The property is referenced as tax map number 75300000042, Council District 5, Ms. Cox.
So this request is to rezone the 0.42 acre portion of a 31 acre parcel from RSF 40 to RUD. Purpose is to remove the parcel split zone status to allow subdivision to create a 7 acre parcel. Property is located off of George Dunn Road, which is on the eastern part of the county, east of Old Friendship Road and north of Highway 5. This area of the county is still very rural. There are some large lot subdivisions across the road that was recently developed homes through there. This property is probably about 1 acre. Zooming into the property here, this is a vacant piece of property, heavily treed. And for the zoning map, we're looking at RDD. The areas there that have been highlighted are being rezoned, which is the small piece here and the small piece here. And at one point, this yellow piece here, that was all one parcel, all the way just like it is there, that was rezoned years ago. At the time, split zoning was okay. They didn't make them do it, anything changed at the time. So now you can't do that. Comprehensive plan for the area here is rural residential. As we know, that's rural character with homes on 1 acre or more, separated by farm fields, pastures, and forests. Recommending approval. The request aligns with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. The majority of the property is already RUD, and this will remove the split zone status of the subject property.
It's got one question, Diane.
Mhm.
So on page 104, I'm assuming that the property owner owns all these tracts here? Or because the property lines change on track C on 104?
Is 104 the plat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that was probably a plat as it was being, which was in the actual package itself.
That was,
Oh,
That was
that's right, you don't
historic
have it
plat.
on your,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just that it goes into the 7 acre a little bit further and then it goes out. I'm assuming that these are the same property owner,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right, so that's a non-issue, but it doesn't follow that, the way the parcel is right now, it's gonna
No,
change.
the plat there that's in the package here does not follow this lines here,
Okay,
I believe.
no, it doesn't. Okay,
I could, yeah.
because that's track C to the right.
Yeah, that up on the screen is
A
what
and
is
B.
tracks A and
A and
B.
B.
That's it, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I see that little, there's a little jog there.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that, that I asked the question, because it's the same property owner, we're okay.
Any
There's
other
no-
questions?
I don't see any issues with that.
Okay, thanks.
There's no questions, is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there
Whose
any
deep voice was
discussion?
that? Is that you?
Hmm?
Is that you?
That was me that motioned.
Okay. I didn't have my, I wasn't looking up on whose voice was that?
That was mine.
There you go. In the second?
I had second.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Next is a public project review, the planning commission to review the proposed Phase 1 improvements for the Catawba Bend Preserve to determine if this public project conforms or conflicts with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, this is for the Catawba Bend Preserve Phase 1 improvements. And just to kind of give you an overview, we've done this once before. We did this, I think it was back in March. We had a public project review. And just to give you a remember of that one, these are for large parks and recreation facilities. This county government facilities are very large water and sewer infrastructure. There's two different levels. One's the large and the small. And the large one requires you to do a review and approval, whereas the small one was for information only. And the previous one that we had before was for a substation rebuild. That was just for information purposes only. This is our first time we've looked at a full large project. So for Catawba Bend Preserve, it's to construct the loop road, the gatehouse, parking lot, restrooms, and some dam upgrades. In case you weren't familiar with the project here, this is Catawba Bend highlighted in red here. That's the park area. What we're looking at is kind of where the R in New Store Road. It's going to come right there and follow this road. So there's a drawing in the application. This is where we're looking for right through here. And as you can see here, this is going to be an entrance, and then an entrance gate, and then restrooms and parking. That will be the entrance to the actual park itself. And then they'll have a gate further along the way. And keep driving down that road, you'll have your restrooms and your parking area there. I didn't show you where they're doing the dam improvements, just these three construction projects here. So according to their mission, the park's mission is to provide a nature-based outdoor recreation preserve that connects visitors to activities that celebrate the native landscapes. So in reviewing these projects, is we're gonna look, where does the comprehensive plan, does it support it? Does it go against it? There is two goals in the comp plan that do support this request. Goal in natural resources number 2 is to leverage the county's vast natural resources to expand and encourage outdoor nature-based recreation. And then also economic development goal number 5 is to create a high quality of life in order to attract a well-qualified workforce. And within that, there's a strategy to promote new and expanding county park and recreation facilities. So because this project does support the comprehensive plan in those two places, staff recommends approval. Questions?
Real quick, can you back up to the satellite map we looked at?
Yes.
So all the areas outlined in red are part of the preserve, right?
Yes.
So are they all going to be combined into one lot and be designated as park?
Well,
Zoning?
they're already designated as PR in the zoning district. We
Okay.
did that earlier, years ago, something, it's this year.
Okay,
As far as being recombined, I sure hope so.
okay.
So hopefully at some point, they'll come back in there and recombine it all into one, because it just makes it easier to have one parcel. They don't have to, it just makes it easier.
Well, the county, doesn't the county own all that?
Yeah,
So,
but to survey that, it's very expensive.
I'm sorry?
To survey all that would be,
It
I'm
would
not
all
too sure
have to
why
be-
they haven't done
The
that
entire
yet.
boundary would have to be surveyed, which would include like all of that shoreline
So,
along the river.
They just haven't done it, maybe that is their plans to do that, they just haven't done it yet.
So in order for them to combine as it exists on the tax maps today, they can't just make a request to combine all that without
have to be
having
some
a
survey.
survey of
Yeah,
everything?
survey.
There has to be a
Yes.
document that
Yeah.
shows
They can do a little bit of
what lot
both.
lines are getting removed and,
So they just haven't done it yet.
Well, take the outside line and keep it, and all the inside lines erase them.
Not that
That's
easy.
what I'll do.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, that's easy, yeah.
Please do this.
You don't have to
sign
put
it.
stakes in the ground.
I think that's their
just-
plan eventually to do that.
So they
just
do,
haven't done
okay,
it
I
yet.
didn't realize that when you're doing that,
yeah.
if you had because I'm assuming all this land's platted, right? So
It
you
is-
still
it's
have to
already
go
platted,
back
But there's a
and,
variety of plats from different years, and
Yeah,
so
just to get all that together.
inevitably, there's probably some
Discrepancies.
discrepancies that have to get worked out, and,
so this is kind of like getting title insurance.
yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you. That's all I had.
John?
Question about the loop road. It looks like we're proposing a new main entrance into the property, but there are existing roadways within the property.
There are some roadways there, but I don't think they're
They're not,
a ability to be able to use for public access. They're just like little roads that we use to get there to maintain the park.
Yeah,
But
there's,
this is just the first one that they're building.
okay,
Now, they're utilizing an existing road bed from a current, as you can see from that,
yes.
that line. That's what they're utilizing that.
But they had areas with old greenhouses on it and different, there are,
Yeah, as you can kind of see, the greenhouses are back in here.
Yep.
And so you can sort of see, there's a little bit of a road that goes this way, so it kind of goes under the trees and back that way.
so phase one gets us
Phase one gets us
into
into
the
the
park.
park. They've been working on trails back in there. They already have some trails constructed, it's just not open for the public yet. This is the first part of it.
Dan, is this gonna be a gate where you can't go at night, or?
I should imagine so. Yes,
similar to
Well-
Ebenezer.
yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Is it going to be, looking at the number of parking spaces, is that gonna be a, hey, you can't come visit the park because parking lot's full?
This is phase one, so, you know, there's a larger master plan for the whole thing, and so this is the first area.
Okay.
There'll be more parking.
Is
and
there
other things.
somewhere that we can see that master plan?
I believe it's on the county's website, but I can double check and see if I can find it for you.
That would be great to help us kind of
There
do
is, yeah.
homework in preparation for it coming. If we're gonna, I'm assuming there'll be more of these, right? We're gonna
They sure
keep-
will
I believe
be.
that was a
keep
couple of
seeing
years
as
ago
they
that
go,
master
so
plan was
maybe we can.
finished.
It's a couple years, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'll make a motion recommending approval that this supports the goals of the comprehensive plan.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, and Planning Commission to receive County Council's resolution directing Planning Commission to conduct the necessary studies related to public education facilities within the Fort Mill School District.
Okay, this is an information only item. There's no action to be taken by Planning Commission, but just to kind of give you an overview of the process. In May of this year, the school district requested York County Council to consider a resolution for new impact fee study. The current one they have right now will expire in July 2025. And so in August of this year, the county council adopted a resolution that's in your packet, directing the PC to conduct the study. It seems like you got a job to do, but you really don't. They're hiring a consultant, and they take care of that. So Fort Mill School District will hire a consultant, they may already have, to actually do that study. And then, based upon the language, they're actually required to provide you a status report at least every 60 days. And so they'll, a couple of months, give you an update of where they are. And then, on the resolution from the county council, the PC recommendation to be received to them no later than March 10th, 2025, which is the date of your March meeting. So hopefully at that point, you'll have a document ready to be able to review and to give a recommendation. Like I said, there's no action for you all tonight, but if you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Just quick logistical one, will that mean workshops in order to get that update, or will that happen at our regular PC meetings?
Typically at your regular PC meetings.
Okay.
We did one during COVID, so it's a little bit different. It was actually online. And before that, I believe it was just the regular meetings. They didn't do a workshop for that.
At what point can we put requests in?
Request to the consultant.
Yes.
I I'm assuming at any point, maybe at their update part, but if anything comes out sooner, we can do that. In the past, we haven't really interacted much with the consultant. We just received the document and reviewed it and gave a recommendation. There hasn't been the back and forth with the planning commission to the consultant. We can do things differently if we choose.
Yeah, my concern with any of these impact fees is, in this case, Fort Mill School District proposes a list of projects with a price tag. I would just like to have someone other than Tischler Bice or the Fort Mill School District look at those
Projections.
estimates or costs
Building
that
costs.
they're stating, whether it's by staff or whether we need to bring someone else in. Third, yeah, that would be my only request is for that.
Matt, if I might, this is the second request for impact fees, right, from Fort Mill School District. They're the first one that's come back up again. So would it be feasible to ask our friends at Tischler Bice how the original
I think that's,
results turned out? In other words, they said the capital improvement plan would be X million dollars. What did they actually spend on those? So
Yes.
what's their track record in addition to what they're asking for?
I think that would be, also be a
Okay.
great request.
Yeah, they have
Just-
two schools under
And
construction
it
paid
doesn't
for by the
necessarily have
impact
to be
fees.
included in that, that study. It could be a separate document, just so we have it for our knowledge, I mean, if they're within a couple percent,
Right.
then we know things are good, but if it's not, I'd like to know, and I'd like someone else to look at the numbers.
And-
Yeah.
It's a lot of money in the end, and, I just wanna have I can't even think of the word, but, the satisfaction that I know it's been at least reviewed thoroughly, before the number's put in.
It- I don't know if this would be helpful or not, but perhaps we should see those results before we get too deep into the direction of the new one, because it could give us some insight into some things we
Yeah.
would like to have the consultant look at differently of, based on the last results, we want to make sure you really do
Well-
this, right?
The studies are basically, they're all the same format, and there's really two components to it. There's the demographics.
Yeah, I've seen the studies. I
Yeah.
just don't know if us hearing some of how the results went might be useful for us to say, we'd like to see you do a little bit more homework here, or do a little bit more investigation of the information here in the new study to have a better result, if that's what we find. I don't even know, right? I was just, in my experience and other things that I've dealt with in the business world, kind of seeing how did you do?
Yeah.
And
Right.
then reviewing
Yeah,
that really well, and then deciding what you're gonna do next, rather than starting to go in and doing what you're gonna do next before you really know how the last one turned out, or trying to find out concurrently, if we
And,
have the time to do that.
It is, and I understand what you're saying, and part of that falls to, the school district is the one that ultimately determines what is, what needs to be done, so I'm not really gonna question what the need is, I just really wanna question
Yeah.
How accurate?
how accurate are the
Right.
numbers.
Well, and I think with you mentioning a third party looking at it, I think some of your concerns might be answered by having someone, or having some firm or whatever, look at it. I think that'd give me a little bit more confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
like the confidence in knowing the numbers we recommend are
Right. Since we can't really get
vetted.
in, since we as a body can't get into the weeds of this. But a third party could.
And will the consultant look at did the impact fee have its intended, what's the word, results, thank you? Like, was growth curbed? Did they just bring in more money because they got, like, what does it look like now? Because the economic landscape is different now than
Right.
however 5 years it's been.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't know what the scope of the project will be, whether they've been asked to go and look back as well. I should imagine that they would, given the fact that this is our first time we've had a second one come through, like a update. I would imagine they'd want to go and reflect upon what they learned from the previous one. Where are they and how is this going to change? I would hope that would be part of what the report will show.
I would like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
I
too.
think what I'm hearing from everybody is we're formally requesting that they do that.
So like I said, they have to come back to you every 60 days, and so that's in 2 meetings' time. So at that point, which would only be maybe, I guess, depending on when that clock starts, I don't know when that 60 days, is it from now or from when council approved that resolution? There's definitely going to be a time to come back before we're too close to the end if they need to provide more information. So if your comfort level is not there, that would be when you would say, okay, we'd like to do this, this, and this, and they still have time to do that and meet the required deadlines.
Diane, I'd request, if we could, to have somebody from the firm here, within 60 days if we had any questions.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the school district and let them know what your thoughts are, and see if they can work that into their scope, whether it's the consultant or the school district, depending upon what they've allotted for meeting time and everything. I'll find that out.
Great. Thank you.
I don't think they're local, so.
I'm sorry?
I don't think they're local, correct?
The consultant is not, no.
Yeah. I'd be okay with Zoom.
I don't think, we can't do Zoom.
Oh, they can't
No,
Zoom?
No, we can't Zoom.
I'm just trying to help.
No Zooming.
They've been here before.
Yeah, I know.
So-
It's a
Yeah.
lot for one night. All right, so rezoning tracking sheet is after that. Anybody have any questions about that?
What's your favorite?
If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Mike, you may have an opportunity to do voiceovers for Darth Vader now, since
Okay, I don't know if they're still recording and the rest of the county needs to know this or not, but